Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm your host, Travis Reed, to Athlete's Journey. I got a special guest in the house, a person that I enjoy talking to. He's just a good brother. I played against him in Holland. That's why I broke out my old Holland basketball yesterday. A friend of mine, Joshua Helm. Introduce yourself, Joshua.
Hey, Travis, man, appreciate you having me on the show. You know, I got to help, support my light-skinned brother any chance I can get. So, Josh Helm, reporting live from Charlotte, North Carolina. I live in Charlotte, originally from Columbus, Ohio, but relocated to Charlotte about 10 years ago. So happy to be on the show. Thanks for having me and kind of get a chance to share my story a little bit. So appreciate it.
No problem. For those of you guys that don't know, Joshua is like one of 15 guys who played overseas in Holland from the city of Ohio.
Yeah, so that was one of the things. Once I got over there, I think played against Leon Rogers. I'm sure you remember him. He was the MVP of the league and had a nice career there. Travis Young, one of your old teammates, high school as well, and just a few others. So we had a nice pipeline to Holland out of Columbus.
That's what I know. 18 dudes from Ohio.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm leaving a few out, but yeah. So that was cool.
No, definitely, man. I enjoyed it. Well, let's get right into it, man. It. So how did your journey of basketball even start?
Well, I think I'd have to give that credit to my pops, probably similar to you, just my dad was a real big basketball fan, big Lakers fan, too, growing up. So
as he should be.
Yep. Big Magic and Kareem fan. So, really just growing up, I remember, I grew up with 4 sisters, right? So the only boy in the house, my dad would take me basically, to the basketball court. And, I would remember staying there 9, 10 o'clock at the rec center, playing on another court while he's playing games until my legs got tired. So, at a young age, me and him really had that bond of basketball. So really just got it from him. But when I grew up, I really played everything. So I played soccer, I got into soccer at a young age and I was good at it. And so I just kept playing and had some success on the soccer field. But I played baseball, played a little bit of football. I think in the 8th grade, I was a little bit of a late bloomer, right? So I think 8th grade, I was still 5'7" and a little chubby. I hadn't hit my growth spurt yet. And, man, I took a hit so hard on the football field, man. I was like, I think I'm a basketball player.
So, I had a nickel for every person that said that as a basketball player.
Man, that was rough. So really between the 8th grade, I started off the 8th grade at 5'6", and by the beginning of my freshman year, I was 6'3". So I kind of just showed up to high school tall and had a really good freshman year. I think I played JV basketball my freshman year. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the season, I was starting on the varsity team in the tournament. Okay. So I think with that, it really gave me a lot of confidence going into my sophomore year where we had a really good team and just kind of build it off that. So I played high school ball. And my senior year, I ended up being the Division I Player of the Year. So the coaches picked Player of the Year. After that, I went to Mercyhurst University in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is actually Division II. And, looking back in hindsight, it's always 2020. But there was things, I think, with my recruiting. I had gotten Division I offers and things like that. But things that could have probably worked out differently, but ended up at Mercyhurst. And then that kind of led my way overseas. Had a nice career there. So.
Okay. Well, let's rewind a little bit back.
Yeah. I was going fast. I was going through it, but yeah, stop me. I can probably jump in anytime.
You pretty much you talked about the fact that you played, like I said, football, played soccer at a young age.
Yeah, baseball. I did it all. I was actually in swimming at a young age, just all around athlete. So I think my parents just threw me in wherever they could. And I think as long as I was having fun, they were cool with that. So
no, definitely. I mean, my father put me in soccer. He coached me in soccer when I was a kid. He wanted my footwork to be really good, and it helped.
It was great for footwork, and you're always running, staying in shape. I mean, it worked right along with basketball.
Exactly, man. He coached me in baseball. He coached me actually in t-ball to baseball.
That's awesome.
Same with you with the football thing. I played flag football until they put us in pads. I was playing wide receiver and I got hit and I got a low cut on a jump ball kind of situation, fell on my back. And I started crying and I was like, yeah.
Man. Football's rough,
Yes.
And it's one of those things. If I didn't really grow up in the younger years playing, I just kind of started off in the 8th grade. And I think that's one thing you kind of got to know from a young age, getting roughed up and taking the hits and that. But I couldn't take getting those pops.
All right. So when did you know that you was actually starting to get good in basketball?
Well, really, I mean, I think for me, it was that going into my freshman year and just growing. I had that big growth spurt and my game had just changed. I was started to dominate games and things like that. And I think basketball, and as well as anybody, a lot of it is confidence, right? So, I started putting the work in high school, really started working on my game, shots in the summer, just building up my confidence. But it's always funny. I had an assistant coach, and it kind of sticks out in my mind. I was having a bad game my sophomore season. It was halftime. I think I had or it wasn't even halftime. It was the end of the 3rd quarter and had like 4 points, having a bad game. And there was a 3rd quarter break and my coach took me out to half court and he said, "Hey, look down at that bench, look down at the other bench, like our bench." He's like, "You're the best player on this whole court," and I almost had to hear that. And I had to believe it, but I'm like, and that confidence that he kind of had in me, I think the 4th quarter, I ended up scoring like 14 points after I heard that, but it was really just a confidence thing. And then after that, before every game in warmups, and I even did this in Holland in my professional career, in warmups, I'd stand at half court, look down at the other end, and I'd say, "Hey, is there anybody out there that's better than me?" And sometimes I wasn't the best player on the court, but I would do that every time, and I would say, "Hey, if there was somebody better than me, you know what? I'm going at them." And I'm okay. I thought I lost you. It was really just putting the work in, gaining that confidence, and then just knowing that you were good enough and that you were confident in your game. So it's probably really around sophomore year I had that.
No, I hear you. I always felt like you make a big jump from your freshman to your sophomore year. Your body kind of matures, you get a little bit older, you get a bit more stronger. Things that used to kind of bump you all over the place freshman year, it doesn't do that as much sophomore year.
Yeah.
I remember that, my sophomore year, I remember I started kind of doing a lot better than I did my freshman year in high school because it was just like, there's a difference,
Oh, yeah, just maturity-wise. And then probably what helped was, just the coaches around me and then just getting that experience freshman year. Like towards the end of the season, I ended up starting freshman year, and I think that gave me the confidence coming into my sophomore year. But you're right, just maturity and your body changing and things like that. Physical. When you're going against seniors and things, it's just sometimes it's just catching up a little bit.
No, I agree with you on that. I would say, definitely it's when you're a sophomore or freshman going up against seniors, for them it's a pride thing. They're like thinking like, man, I can't let this little freshman beat me or this little sophomore beat me. But for you, being a sophomore, you want to go at like I'm going at his head because he's a senior,
Right.
So you mentioned that the fact that you were a player of the year in your state. Was that your most memorable time in high school, or was it when you grew from 5'6" to 6'3"?
No, I mean, there's probably not just one moment, but I mean, looking back, my high school career was just really enjoyable because you're playing with your homeboys that you grew up with, and it was just really so much fun. So we were successful. I think we were number one in the state coming in my senior year, and it was just fun. You're playing in front of your friends and your family, so just the whole ride. In high schools, it was an enjoyable time, but unfortunately, we didn't win the state championship, so it didn't go as well. But really just playing ball, still having fun, and enjoying it with your best friends. So
that's always good. I mean, that's like I said, it's always good. For me, my senior year, we went to what we call a CIF championship.
Okay. Yeah.
Like with the top teams, we play at the Arrowhead Pond, where like the Clippers will play sometimes, or
nice. Yeah.
play sometimes. We had people commentating. It was just it was cool. We lost my senior year. We won my freshman year. We won state and everything, but my senior year we lost. So it's one of those things that losses that always stick in my mind.
Oh man, we got upset my senior year. We actually got upset by a guy. You remember Robbie Owens? He played for Eiffel Towers from Ohio.
Yeah, I remember Robbie Owens.
You remember Robbie? Yeah, his team. They had another guy, Andrew Lavender, that was real good. Played at Oklahoma, but we were kind of favored to win, and we lost that game. So it was a little disappointing on that. But we had a pretty successful career, I would say.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So, what was your recruiting kind like? You said you got recruited and went to JC. You said you had offers.
Yeah. So, looking back, I was in my head. I was always a Division I player. I went to Nike All-America camp and all that. Yeah. So I think out of the class I was there, 6 people got drafted in the NBA straight out of like high school. So I had some offers, and one school, I had kind of planned on going. There was a last minute kind of coaching change, and I really just didn't feel the love, I guess, I really didn't feel wanted. They kind of wanted to bring in, their own recruits and things like that. So that was kind of a last minute ditch. Ended up at Mercyhurst University, which is in Erie, Pennsylvania, up on the lake, kind of sits between Cleveland and Buffalo. Okay. I think when I went to visit, it was springtime or something, and 70 degrees. But if anybody knows about Erie, Pennsylvania, man, it is lake effect snow is like a real thing. I mean, the weather and the snow made it tough winters up there. I think I went away to Florida. We went for a game over Thanksgiving break and came back to like 3 feet of snow. And, it wasn't gone until probably May of the next year, just lots of snow. So, my freshman year in college, I got off to a really hot start. I think the first 2 weeks of the league, I was player of the week. both times. And then I broke my foot my freshman year. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, that was really tough on me. Our team had some success, and I played 10 games at the beginning of the year and set out the rest, which was really tough. Just that was my first injury I've ever had, and just kind of watching from the sidelines, you know, it isn't easy, and being away at college and things. So that was kind of a tough time. And then the following year, my sophomore year, and I'm going to share this, kind of a part of my life I keep pretty private, and a lot of people don't know. But my sophomore year, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I was probably in the best shape I've ever been living in college. And all of a sudden, you know, I remember being in a game, and my vision was real blurry. I couldn't see the scoreboard. And later that night, I just remember being really thirsty. I was drinking water excessively, and then I would have to pee. And when I was peeing, man, I was getting tired of like standing there. That's how much I was peeing. And I didn't know what I thought I was dying. You know, I didn't know if I had cancer or something. You know, I was just expecting the worst. You know, I was losing weight, just didn't have my energy, but I didn't know, you know, nobody in my family had diabetes. I didn't know anything about it. And really just started Google searching my symptoms. So a lot of stuff started popping up about diabetes. And, you know, I remember talking to the trainer, and they're like, no, you're probably fine. You don't have that. But ended up getting some blood work and came back that I was type 1 diabetic. So that was really a big adjustment, you know, in college, just learning about that. I was giving myself 4 or 5 shot injections, you know, every day, you know, testing my blood sugar, you know, anywhere from 5 to 10 times a day, just making sure I was, you know, in the correct, you know, so it was a lot, you know, and, you know, being a college student and having to think about all that, and managing basketball and your schoolwork, and you know, it was really a tough time. Probably, you know, one of my biggest challenges. You know, I remember I had to stay overnight, a couple nights at the hospital, and just them telling me all about it. You know, I'm like, I don't even know if I'll be able to play basketball again.
Right.
Dealing with all this stuff, but my coaches and my teammates were really supportive, and you know, went back, and you know, it was a little bit of adjustment learning to play with it. You know, sometimes in practice my blood sugar would get low. I'd have to sit out and take a Gatorade, and just knowing your body. But then, you know, kind of at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, eating and working out and doing those things now that I got to do because I'm diabetic is what probably should be doing anyway to be an athlete, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So my sophomore year, you know, was really tough, but I think it, you know, really helped me get into my body. You know, I started lifting a lot of weights, training, eating right, doing the right things. But, you know, it was an adjustment. There was an adjustment period my junior year, just kind of figuring out and balancing everything. But finished up strong. My junior and senior year had solid years, and really enjoyed, you know, playing, and then I got the opportunity to take the jump and play overseas. So
okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your biggest triumph and your biggest failure in college?
Man, that's tough. You know what? The biggest failure, I would say, and you know, was really we had my senior year. We really had a good team. Had a really good point guard by the name of Justin Schaus. He's actually he played overseas as well for I think 12 years. Still living there now. He's living in Iceland now.
Nice.
Got a couple kids, and he's living there now. But really, you know, just not winning a championship that I thought that we had the talent to win. And then, I think for the triumphs was, really just some of the adversity that hit me in college and being able to overcome that, really. End up having a successful career and making the most of it, and just persevering through some of the challenges, injuries, and things like that. So, just enjoying it.
Now, I understand that. I understand that. I would say that
I would have liked to got a championship at some point. So,
I won one my second year in Holland. Went to like six finals, lost the rest of them. So
hey, those championships, man, they're hard to come by. That's for sure.
Yes, very hard, very hard. Yeah. I went to in Holland. I played for 4 years. Went to 2 finals.
I mean that's a blessing just to make it.
Yeah, won one, lost one. So I understand it's really hard to win a championship. Really, really, really hard. Absolutely. Now, what was your biggest lesson you learned from college?
College was such a long time ago, right? I graduated in 2004, so I gotta turn back the clock a little bit on that. But you know what? I mean, I think college is really where I got my routine down. Up in the mornings, lifting weights, working out, working on my game. That's when I really started kind of treating it like a job in a way. And that's how I really started getting some good habits, especially. So it's a lot of discipline. You're kind of on your own for the first time. There's parties, there's different things, you got to get your schoolwork in. But a lot of the habits that I started there, I'm 39 years old now. I'm still kind of doing today.
That makes a lot of sense. I'll tell you that. Makes a lot of sense, bro. Because I would definitely agree with you on the habits. Your situation probably made you a little bit more mature past your ages. Past your age at the time. I didn't really learn that. I didn't really learn that until after college. I was still kind of kicking it, having fun.
I still had fun. Don't get me wrong. But I think one thing I kind of learned was, man, you can't keep cheating yourself if you don't put the work in. You know what I mean? It's like I remember doing push-ups and things, and like, I'm not going to do my 100 today, but maybe I'll just say I did. But I'm like, why would I do that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm only cheating myself if I don't, if I'm taking shortcuts or not putting the work in. So, that was something I really, started getting into my routine, started getting into lifting weights a lot more, just training and really treating it serious about it, I guess.
Okay. All right. So you graduate from college, right? Now, how do you make the transition from college to professional?
Well, my coach in college, he had some connections kind of to some agents and things overseas. So made up a highlight tape, probably similar to what you did or something, and started passing out. I don't know if it was tapes back then. Am I that old? It was probably VHS. Might have been a DVD. I think we were maybe into DVDs.
It might have just been a DVD when you had first started.
I think I just made it to the DVD circuit. And, I got an agent and, coming from a small school, Division II, and really I'm 6'6". I was probably 230 at the time. It's kind of an undersized big guy, I guess, kind of inside out, but my strength was definitely around the basket. So coming from a smaller school and a little bit undersized, I didn't get any big, huge contracts thrown my way my first year. And I ended up going to Iceland to their top division and really to the worst team in the league. And So, which was crazy. I don't know if you've ever been to Iceland, but they call it the land of fire and ice. So they've got live volcanoes, they got glaciers. I'm telling you, when you land in Iceland, we're driving from the airport. There's a whole bunch of volcanic rock. I feel like I landed on the moon, and I'm thinking, like, where the heck am I? It was just like countries like nothing you would ever see. Like Holland reminds me a lot of Ohio almost, in like the landscape, flat and things like this. But in Iceland, it's different. So they take me to a town all the way east of Fjordur, all the way up in the north of Holland, small little village, really. And I'm on one of the pretty much the worst team in the league, and a lot of young players. So I'm the only American on the team. There was another guy from the UK, the point guard, and a lot of young guys ended up making some pretty good careers for themselves. But long story short, ended up being the MVP of the league, just because I think I had to shoot it every time down.
I remember your stats, man. I looked you up because when I was in Holland, I had a computer. I had all the time in the world.
Yeah. So, I think we all got on Eurobasket,
I was looking like he averaged 38 a game in Iceland. Dang.
Yeah. So something crazy like 37 a game. Honestly, my goal, how I treated every game in my head was, I'm going to go out, I'm going to score 10 points a quarter. I'm going to try to go for 40 every game. That's my goal. But they kind of made it easy. Like my teammates, they were always looking for me. My coach was like, shoot it. So that's what
shoot it. That's a good
strategy. Yeah. So that was really one of the toughest things that I had to deal with, because I've never been on a losing team, and to get used to losing it is tough, and some of the guys just didn't, they were more about having fun and whatever. And I'm like, this losing stuff isn't fun,
Yeah.
So, but with that being said, waking up, getting paid to play basketball, to lift weights. And I'm like in this isolated place in Iceland. I mean, all I did was play basketball, lift weights, and eat and rest. So I got like plenty of sleep, had plenty of time to work out and shoot hoops, and really just enjoyed it. I will say, being in the small village, I mean, the people, really made my experience good. So I had a great time. I was in this small town, but ended up being MVP of the league, which was a blessing, and just time to focus on my game, which gave me kind of confidence, to keep going. So,
so you're in Iceland, and then after Iceland, you go to Holland.
Yeah, so I go to Rotterdam. You can see I'm in my office here. I tried to, but I went to Holland, and which was really a good experience, because I had a new coach, kind of a younger coach, Eric Brell. I don't know if you remember him, but
I remember him.
He was real. I'm trying to think like who I would compare him to. Maybe in the NBA. Well, maybe like an Eric Spoelstra. They had the first straight name, but he was really like a player's coach, but he was a student of the game, and he'd listen and take little bits and pieces. I really liked his coaching style, and I really had a good experience. Rotterdam was a great city, very different from Iceland.
No, Rotterdam is a really good city. Really good city.
Yeah, it's really diverse. Like, I'm like in Iceland. I was the darkest thing they probably ever seen. In the small village. And that's saying a lot, right?
Right.
But Rotterdam was really like urban city. You know, I think it got bombed back in the day, but it's almost like a little New York City with some of the new buildings and things like that. So really cool place to live. Had some really good teammates. I really loved living there. The experience was good. Had a pretty good season. We had the year that I was there, that was the best record. I think we ended up in third place for the year, and that was the best season that they've ever had in history. So it's cool. Ended up being, I think, first team all Dutch team, and then All-Star, where I think I ran into you at the All-Star game when you tried to dunk on my head one time.
Hey, you was a rookie over there, so I was trying to, break you in,
So I do remember that, and you almost dunked on me, and I had to give you a little harder foul than you probably would have liked, but the All-Star game was in front of my home fans, and I couldn't have you dunking on me. And
I get it. I was just, hey, man, we was out there, having a good time. I was like, let me baptize him. Let me get him used to how
But no, you guys had a really good team, and I think you guys were kind of the benchmark. We always would be looking, where's NPC at in the rankings? And, I'd be following you close, like, man, Travis went for 29 tonight. I got to try to go out there and do my thing. So, it was all good and competitive. And, I think, we all made each other better. But, really, really good. It was really a good league that year. There's some good players and tough competition.
A lot of good players. I think, honestly, that was one of the best times because, obviously we had us. We had you guys were really good. Matrix was really good. Matrix was talented.
Eiffel Towers were good.
Well, they had combined teams with the boss. I was like,
yeah, that's right.
How you combine two teams to one team? That ain't fair. So, they combined their teams to Eiffel Towers. Amsterdam was really good.
Yeah, so, that's right. Amsterdam.
It was just a lot of good Americans in that league at the time.
What was funny, I do remember while I was there, and I think you may have spoke about it on one of your podcasts, they had filmed your whole season or training camp. And,
it was a documentary.
Had a documentary.
Yeah.
And I remember watching, bits and pieces of it and was like, man, I will never play for that coach. I will never play. I don't know how. I was like, man, I don't know how Travis is doing it, but he's doing it. And something else I remember too, because I don't know how you must have known before I did, but it was the All-Star break, and I think after the game we went out or something, and you were like, man, I know my team, is looking at you or something, and you're like, man, it's tough to play up there. I'm leaving, but man, they can pay. They got bread. And I'm thinking, I think I even told you that day. I'm like, oh no, I ain't going up there. But it was only at the All-Star break, and you knew you couldn't do it another year, right?
No, they offered me like the biggest deal in the team's history at the time.
Yeah,
and I was just like, no, because what they would do was sign you in the season where they got you there,
Right.
Start pressuring you like in February, and then by like April, the playoffs you're gonna crack,
Right.
Yeah. And for me,
money talks, man.
Yeah, no, look, I almost kind of did it, but I decided no. And so then after that year, we lost Game 7 to the Leons and Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
The whole team just scattered. Everybody just went.
Yeah,
man. And then you ended up knowing the team.
Mm-hmm. So, and then so we finished out the year. I think we ended up going to the Cup Championship, which was a big deal for Rotterdam. Mm-hmm. I ended up having that was probably one of my worst games of my professional career. I got completely locked down and got into foul trouble. Championship game against Amsterdam for the Cup, and just didn't show up. Just had I mean, that's one game I've never played so bad. I wish I could have that one back, but it is what it is. But that would have been nice to get a cup championship. But still a big deal for Rotterdam to make it. So we had some success and really had a good year. Love living there. Really to live in Holland, as you know. And I think why you probably spent so many years there. But
no, I got you. So your overseas career was about how long? How many years?
Yeah, so 4 years. So after Rotterdam, as you know, I ended up still to this day. I remember the day that I got a call from my agent. But after I left Rotterdam, summer. My dad always tells me, he's like, man, Josh, you were really playing your best ball that summer. He's like, never seen me play so good. I was peaking, I guess, probably that year. And I broke my foot in the summer league. I was playing with Travis and Leon and all those guys in a league, Worthington Summer League there. And it was a stress fracture. I came down wrong and I heard a pop in my foot. And the whole summer I was in a walking boot. And, no running, no jumping. I was probably just still wanted to work out. I was probably just lifting weights. Couldn't lift my legs. Probably just top heavy. At that.
Skinny legs.
It was just frustrating. So I get a call from my agent, and I still remember the call, and they said, hey, we got an offer for you for MPC Capitals, for Tom Boat. He wants you to come. And I didn't know what to say. Like, my heart had dropped, but they're like, they want an answer. You're like, pretty quick, because, they like bringing in players early in the summer. So it was the middle of summer, and, they had offered a nice little contract, and it was the best one I had on the table at the time. And like you said, they had broken up the team. And what they did my year, as I think they opened up the league a little bit where they could have more Americans. So I think it went from having 3 Americans on a team to 7, which was a big deal.
Yes.
So they basically created an all-star team of the guys in the league from the year before from other teams to join the Capitals. So I knew a lot of the other players kind of going in again from playing against them. So I'm like, oh, so they're going and they're going. Like, okay, we can do this, right? So show up early to training. I got a boot on my foot, and I told them and this and that. And I go through, I can't remember the doctor. What was Doc's name?
Doc. I just called him Doc. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, I think he just went by Doc. You just called him Doc. And, so I was out maybe the first week and watching everything. And, they're putting pressure on me a little bit to get back on the court. Doc clears me on my foot. And as you know, man, I'm telling you, these training camps are like nothing I ever seen. Imagine like Bob, or I don't even know who to compare them to, but they're intense. And really, probably in the first week, they had already cut 4 or 5 different players, Americans, good ones that went on to play in other leagues and do really well. So I get on the court, haven't ran at all in probably 6 weeks. Just out of shape, running up and down these courts. I remember going back to my apartment, man, looking at myself in the mirror and just crying out to God, to the Lord, like, man, is this where I'm supposed to be?
Right.
Because this was really challenging, like not only physically on my body, but probably the toughest mentally, because he really tested me mentally. As well. But 3 days into practicing, I ended up breaking my foot again. They ended up putting me in a cast up to my knee. And I was out for another 6 weeks. So, I was afraid maybe they'd cut me at that time, but for some reason the coach kind of took a liking to me, just being on the sidelines and being encouraging and still working and things like that. So got to stick around, but, kind of joining the team halfway through the season and trying to jump in and, personally didn't have the success that I really wanted. Being out on the court, it was kind of tough, really, to get my confidence back. It's tough coming off an injury. I know you probably experienced a few injuries yourself and some of those stretches.
I had a stretch fracture in both my shins. One of them started up there in Holland on that team. Ironically, I had to still ride, put in my legs.
Man.
Yeah.
So
you missed,
playing with injuries.
I missed like half the season.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
There's no half stepping when you get on that court either. It's either 100% that you're good under him, or he's not taking into you're coming off an injury. So
no, definitely.
But man, mentally that was the toughest year I've ever had basketball from a mental toughness. And looking back on it, I think it's made me a better person probably going through it. And you probably you don't, at the time when you're going through it, you don't appreciate it, hate it. But kind of looking back, it's like, it's made me a stronger man, for sure. And then, so after that, I ended up going back to Iceland, my fourth year. Went to one of the top teams. They just came off a championship. Lived in Reykjavik, one of the main cities, which I really liked. Had some success there. We played in like the FIBA Cup and got to travel around to some other countries as well and play. So good experience. Disappointed again that, we didn't win the championship, but really loved living both places, Iceland and Holland, really easy places to live, to be an American coming in. So really enjoyed the experience. And I think you probably learned a lot too, just really about yourself, being a foreigner in another country and being alone a lot of times and having to make new friends or try different things, getting yourself out of your comfort zone. You see a lot of growth. So over those 4 years, I just grew, a lot and kind of learned a lot about myself. So it was really just a great experience. And, I consider us blessed. We're waking up every day, we're lifting weights, playing basketball and getting paid for it. It was kind of hard. I think the year after I stopped playing, I ended up, somebody asked me to play in a league and they're like, hey, it's $50 to play. And I got to say, and I'm like, wait, I got to pay to play in this league? Like, I'm used to getting paid. So
yeah. Trust me. It's like that now.
I can't take it for granted for sure. So, doing all those things and getting to see the world and meeting friends and, because playing overseas isn't for everybody. I think, there's a lot of good guys that could play and very talented that, couldn't make it over there just because they couldn't adapt to the environment and the coaches and the different styles and things like that. And so good testament.
No, definitely, man. I think that overseas is a life of its own, and you have to be really focused and disciplined to do it. It takes a lot out of you as a person because you're gone for 9-10 months at a time. And for myself, like I went through like 6 or 7 finals, so it was really, really hard for me because I would be there in August, leaving in the May.
I know it would be hard at the end of the season if you knew you weren't going to the championship or something. You're like, man, when's this game over? I'm ready to get on the first thing.
We were saying, me and Travis used to say, welcome to British Airways. How may I help you? Because we was like, all right, man, we out. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've done your 4 years.
Yeah.
What made you hang
Yeah.
it up? What made you hang your shoes
Well,
up?
yeah. So my plan was I was on a 5-year plan, right?
Okay.
So my last game in Iceland, I didn't think was going to be my last game. I had planned on at least plan like every year. I was like, hey, if I'm making more money each year, I'm going to just continue to keep going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had got a couple offers, a couple good ones too. To go, I think Switzerland. I got an offer in like Qatar, but I had a friend of mine, one of my really good friends, who was very successful in like the business world, and he had just started a new company with an orthopedic surgeon. And I started thinking, hey, I knew I have one more year left, and he's kind of like, Josh, you can get on the ground level. I'm just starting this business and this company, and I was like, man, this is really a good opportunity, and potentially to make a lot of money. So I was kind of weighing my options, can I play one more year? Is this really going to set me up for the future? So it was really a business decision. And so I ended up staying in the States. I moved down to Greenville, South Carolina. And that's where he lived, and started this company, and invested a lot of time into this. We had a warehouse, had a lot of great ideas, and I did that for 2 years, and learned a lot of lessons, but we didn't make a lot of money. So it was a hard lesson at the end of the day, but I really learned so much from him, because he had kind of a 4-year jump start. When I was playing ball, he played college football, and he was selling medical equipment, I think, at the time. And I learned so much from him. He's like, he treated his work like his sport, and I haven't transitioned to that yet, but he was waking up, writing down his goals, things that he wanted to do. He would stay up night, working on sales pitches and things like that. And I'm like, wow, at that time it was like once 5 o'clock hit, once 5 o'clock hit or whatever, I was done. He's like, Josh, man, this is my game now, and I really learned a lot from him, and that's kind of how I try to treat it. Today is, hey, man, this is my new basketball, right? My job, and you got to put the work in to see some of the results and things like that. So worked with him for 2 years, even got some offers like a year later, to go back, and, hindsight's always 20/20. And I do kind of wish, hey, I wish I would have had a farewell season, or got to kind of go back and play. But, all works out for a reason. And so I played 4 years, and really enjoyed the experience, and then kind of started transitioning into the real world.
No, definitely. So out of everything that your whole basketball journey from ball to transitioning from ball to business, what would be like the biggest lesson? 2 questions. What would be the biggest lesson you learned? And second, what would you tell your young self when you first started, this journey of basketball?
Well, I think, going back, to my young self, and I'll start with that question first. There's really no regrets that I have. I think, yes, I've had challenges or losses, you could say, but just really, I've always been a half cup full type of guy, and there's lessons that can be learned from everything, right? So even in the hard times, but I would really just say don't cheat yourself. There's no shortcuts. Just putting the work in to get results, and just like on the basketball court, shooting jumpers, you just build up that confidence over repetition. So if you're not good at something, work on it until you get confident doing it, because I think really having that confidence in everything in life can really take you to that next level for sure.
Oh, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What was the first question again?
What was the biggest lesson you learned?
Did I answer both in that one? Yeah, but I think positivity and just keeping a positive outlook on life is important, because we all get hit with some stuff, and it's cool listening to your story, and you think people just get from point A to point B, but man, everybody has a story. Everybody has obstacles, ups and downs. And it's important to kind of enjoy the ride as you're going along, because we all know, I think COVID even last year put a lot of stuff in perspective for me, and just knowing how fast and precious life is too. It's important to enjoy the journey. I became a father about a year ago. She just turned 1, and that's really kind of transformed my outlook on life too, and just kind of seeing her grow up and how fast time goes, and it's just got to enjoy the ride and appreciate it. So I'll always remember those times playing ball overseas. And it's funny, even now, I bring it up, and you probably get a lot too. We're tall, we're big guys. I'm going in on these sales calls and things, and they're like, "Man, you look like you played basketball." I'm like, "Yeah, I used to play overseas." And they're like, "Where'd you play?" And get into stories about, it's always a good icebreaker too, because they want to hear about these different countries. So I always, sharing kind of my story. So it's pretty neat. We've got had a great opportunity. So I appreciate it. Got to appreciate the ride, I guess.
No, it makes sense. I mean, you do. Like I said, it was a blessing. And like I said, you did what you did. You came out of the fire, and you came out with a little bit of burnt, but now you're good.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Well, like I said, Joshua, man, thank you. Thank you very much for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
Oh, appreciate you having me, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Continue to kind of tune in, and I love listening to your story. It started bringing back memories. So once you told me to jump on, I'd love to get on and talk with you, and appreciate you thinking of me. So,
oh man,
keep going, man.
Keep my skin, man. Keep it right, baby. We'll definitely tune in. Definitely tune in for next week. Appreciate everybody who watched, and keep it coming. Peace.
All right. Appreciate it.